Park Min-ho pressed his small face against the observation window of Harmony's Edge station. The stars looked different here, far from Earth. Some were blue, some were red, and some flickered like tiny diamonds. The 8-year-old boy had never seen anything so beautiful. "Dad, look at that one." Min-ho pointed to a bright yellow star. "It looks like the sun back home." Park Hyun-woo smiled and knelt beside his son. As Earth's first interstellar diplomat, he had seen many star systems, but seeing them through his child's eyes made them magical again. "That's the Kepler system, son. Maybe one day we'll visit there too." Min-ho's eyes grew wide. "Really? Can we go tomorrow?" "Not tomorrow," Hyun-woo laughed. "But someday, when you're older." The space station Harmony's Edge was huge. It floated in neutral space between Earth territory and the Keth Dominion. The station was built for meetings between different species. Humans had their section, the Keth had theirs, and there were areas where both could meet safely. Today was important. Hyun-woo was meeting with Keth leaders to discuss trade agreements. The Keth Dominion controlled 40,000 star systems. They were powerful, ancient, and not always friendly to new species like humans. "Mr. Park," a voice called. Lieutenant Kim Soyeon approached them. She was part of the security team that traveled with all human diplomats. "The meeting starts in 1 hour." "Thank you, Lieutenant." Hyun-woo turned to his son. "Min-ho, you need to stay in the human section while I'm in the meeting. Mrs. Chang will look after you." Mrs. Chang was the teacher who traveled with diplomatic families. She made sure the children stayed safe and continued their studies even in space. "But I want to see the aliens," Min-ho said. "Maybe later if they agree to meet you. The Keth are very formal. They don't always like surprises." Min-ho nodded, but he was still excited. This was his first trip to space with his father. His mother had stayed on Earth because of her job, but she made Min-ho promise to tell her everything when he got back. The human section of the station was comfortable. It looked almost like a hotel from Earth. There were 200 humans on the station. Most were diplomats, security officers, and their families. Some were scientists studying alien technology. Dr. Lee Ji-won worked in the science section. She was studying how different species built their machines. "The Keth technology is very advanced," she told Hyun-woo during lunch. "Their ships are faster than ours, and their weapons are more powerful. But they want to trade with us," Hyun-woo said. "That means we have something they need." "Yes. Our food, our music, our art. They find human culture very interesting." Min-ho listened to the adults talk. He didn't understand everything, but he knew his father was doing important work. Making friends with aliens would help everyone. On Earth. Far from the human section, Admiral Vex Thorn stood on the bridge of his battlecruiser. The massive Keth warship floated near the station. Thorn was old, even by Keth standards. His dark blue skin was marked with scars from many battles. His 4 arms moved constantly as he reviewed reports. "Admiral," his aide approached. "Intelligence. Reports from the station." Thorn read the datapad. His large eyes narrowed. According to the report, the human delegation was carrying something dangerous. A weapon, maybe. Or a disease that could hurt Keth people. "Are you certain of this information?" Thorn asked. "Our sources are reliable, Admiral. The humans may be planning something." Thorn had fought in many wars. He had seen planets burn and civilizations fall. In his experience, it was better to act first and ask questions later. The Keth Dominion had survived for 1,000,000 years by being careful and strong. "Prepare the cleansing protocol," Thorn ordered. "Sir? But there are civilians on that station." "The security of the Dominion comes first. If the humans are planning something, we must stop them." The aide hesitated. "What about the diplomatic immunity, the neutral zone agreements?" Thorn's voice grew cold. "Agreements mean nothing if we're all dead. Send the order." In the human section, Min-ho was drawing pictures of the stars he had seen. Mrs. Chang sat with him and 5 other children. They were having art time while their parents worked. "What's that one, Min-ho?" Mrs. Chang pointed to his drawing. "It's the yellow star Dad showed me. He said we might visit it someday." "That would be exciting." Mrs. Chang smiled. Suddenly, alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed in the hallways. Mrs. Chang stood up quickly. She had been a soldier before becoming a teacher. She knew what emergency alarms meant. "Children, we need to go to the safe room right now," she said calmly. "What's wrong?" asked 7-year-old Kim Yuna. "Probably just a drill, but we need to practice being safe." Mrs. Chang led the children toward the emergency shelter, but they never made it there. Commander Lee Ji-won was on the bridge of the Soul's Pride, the human escort ship. She watched her screens carefully. Something was wrong. The Keth battle cruiser was charging its weapons. "Captain, the Keth ship is powering up," reported her officer. "Hail them immediately," Ji-won ordered. "No response, Captain. They're not answering." Ji-won felt cold fear in her stomach. "Get me the station, emergency channel." Lieutenant Kim Soyeon's voice crackled over the radio. "Soul's Pride, we're reading weapon signatures from the Keth ship. What's happening?" "I don't know, but get everyone to the shelters now, move." Ji-won watched her screens. The Keth ship's main weapons were almost ready to fire. She had seconds to act. "All power to shields. Signal the station to evacuate the human section." But it was too late. Admiral Thorne gave the final order. "Fire." The Keth battlecruiser unleashed its full power. Massive energy beams struck the human section of Harmony's Edge. The metal walls melted like ice. The air rushed out into space. Everything in the human section was destroyed in less than 10 seconds. Commander Ji-won watched in horror as the life signs from the station disappeared. 200 humans. Gone. Just like that. "No," she whispered. Her communications officer looked up with tears in his eyes. "Captain, I'm reading no survivors from the human section. All life signs are negative." Ji-won's hands shook as she tried to call the station again. "Harmony's Edge. This is Soul's Pride. Please respond." Silence. "Mrs. Chang, please respond." Silence. "Park Hyun-woo, this is Commander Ji-won. Please respond." Silence. Among the dead was 8-year-old Park Min-ho, the boy who had been excited to see the stars, who had drawn pictures of his favorite yellow star, who had wanted to meet aliens and make friends with them. Admiral Thorne watched the destruction with satisfaction. "Threat eliminated. Send a message to Earth. Tell them this is what happens to species that threaten the Dominion." "Sir, what should we tell them exactly?" "Tell them their people are dead. Tell them it was necessary for galactic security. And tell them that Earth must now accept vassal status under the Dominion, or face the same fate." The message reached Earth 12 hours later. President Kim Do-young sat in his office reading the report. His hands did not shake. His voice did not change. But something cold and terrible grew in his eyes. "They killed a child," he said quietly. "Sir?" his aide asked. "They killed children. Innocent children who were just excited to see the stars." President Kim stood and walked to his window. Outside, Seoul looked peaceful. People were walking to work, children were playing in parks, families were having dinner together. Normal life, but something had changed forever. "Get me Fleet Admiral Choi Min-ji," President Kim said. "Sir, it's 3 in the morning. I don't care what time it is. Get her now." 5 minutes later, Admiral Choi's face appeared on the screen. She had been woken from sleep, but she looked alert. "Mr. President, what's the emergency?" "Admiral, the Keth Dominion has just murdered 200 human civilians, including children. They claim it was for galactic security. They are demanding that Earth become their vassal." Admiral Choi's expression changed. In her 40 years of military service, she had prepared for this day. Hoped it would never come, but prepared for it. "What are your orders, sir?" President Kim was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was calm, but filled with something that would have terrified anyone who truly understood it. "Activate Protocol Omega." Admiral Choi nodded slowly. "Sir, are you absolutely certain? Once we activate Protocol Omega, there's no going back." "They killed our children, Admiral. They murdered a 8-year-old boy who just wanted to see the stars. They think we're weak. They think we'll bow down to them out of fear." President Kim turned back to the window. In the distance, he could see families in their homes, children safe in their beds. They have no idea who they're dealing with. Admiral, Choi understood. I'll begin immediately, sir. How far do you want us to go? All the way, Admiral. Show them what happens when you murder human children. Show the entire galaxy. The call ended. President Kim stood alone in his office, looking out at the peaceful city. In a few hours, that peace would end. Earth would go to war, but this would not be like the wars in human history. This would be something the galaxy had never seen before. Something that would make every alien species remember the name of Earth forever. Park Min-ho would never see his favorite yellow star. He would never grow up to be an explorer like his father. But his death would change everything. The galaxy was about to learn that there are some lines you should never cross, and murdering human children was the biggest line of all. In the ruins of Harmony's Edge, rescue ships searched for survivors. They found none in the human secti. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, lights began to turn on for the first time in 20 years. Massive underwater facilities that did not appear on any public map suddenly came to life. Workers who had been waiting for this moment moved quickly, through corridors that stretched for kilometers under the seafloor. Fleet Admiral Choi Minji stood in the command center of Deep Base Alpha, the most secret military facility on Earth. Around her, dozens of officers worked at their stations. These were not regular Navy personnel. These were the people who had been preparing for Protocol Omega their entire careers. Status report, Admiral Choi ordered. Deep Bases Alpha through Gamma are fully operational, reported Captain Yoon Jae-hyun. Luna Base is beginning activation sequence. Mars shipyards are coming online. Time to full operational status? 18 hours, Admiral. Admiral Choi nodded. 18 hours to reveal what humanity had really been doing for the past 50 years. The galaxy thought Earth was a peaceful world with a small space fleet. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Send the activation codes to all bases. Tell them this is not a drill. On the dark side of Earth's moon, massive doors opened in what looked like empty craters. Inside, kilometer-long battleships began to power up their engines. These ships had been built in secret, using technology that Earth had never shared with other species. Captain Han Soo-jin walked through the bridge of the battleship Incheon's Fury. She had been the ship's captain for 5 years, but this was the first time the ship had ever left its hidden dock. All systems green, Captain, reported her tactical officer. Weapons, all weapon systems ready. The new quantum torpedoes are loaded and armed. Captain Han looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Keth thought they had won an easy victory. They had no idea that their action had awakened something that had been sleeping in the dark. Take us out, Lieutenant. It's time to join the fleet. Back on Earth, Dr. Yoon Tae-young was in his laboratory reviewing files that most people didn't know existed. For 30 years, he had been Earth's leading expert on alien species. But his job was not just to study them. His job was to find ways to fight them. Dr. Yoon, his assistant, entered the lab. We've received Protocol Omega activation. Good. Send all our research to Fleet Command. Everything we have on Keth biology, psychology, military tactics, and weaknesses. Sir, should we include the psychological warfare studies? Dr. Yoon thought for a moment. The psychological studies were the darkest part of his research. He had spent years learning how different alien species thought, what they feared, how they could be broken mentally as well as physically. Yes, include everything. The gloves are off now. The files Dr. Yoon sent to Fleet Command contained detailed information about every major species in the galaxy, how their minds worked, what scared them, how to defeat them not just in battle, but in their very souls. President Kim Do-young called an emergency meeting of his inner circle. Only 12 people on Earth knew about Protocol Omega. These 12 people had been planning for this day since humanity first met alien life. The activation is complete, Admiral Choi reported via secure link from Deep Base Alpha. All hidden facilities are operational. The fleet is ready to deploy. How many ships? Asked Defense Minister Park Kyung-soo. Initial deployment will be 100,000 battleships. Full deployment capability is 700,000 ships. The room fell silent. Even these 12 people, who had known about the secret fleet for years, were amazed by the final numbers. 700,000, President Kim repeated slowly. The Keth think they're facing a species with 50 ships. Let them keep thinking that, said Intelligence Director Bae Hyejin. The longer they underestimate us, the better. Director Bae had spent 20 years building Earth's intelligence network throughout the galaxy. Every human trader, diplomat, scientist, and tourist had been gathering information. The galaxy saw them as friendly explorers. They had no idea they were being studied like insects under a microscope. What about the other species? Asked Foreign Minister Lee Dong-hyun. The Zephyrian Council? The Mandate of Tal? Our agents are already in position, Director Bae replied. We've been mapping their military installations, studying their tactics, learning their weaknesses. If they decide to get involved, we're ready for them too. President Kim stood and walked to the wall display that showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked human colonies. Blue dots marked friendly species. Yellow dots marked neutral species. And black dots marked threats. For 50 years, we've been careful. We've been peaceful. We've tried to make friends with everyone we met. He paused. But we've also been preparing for the day when friendship wasn't enough. The president touched a control, and thousands of green dots appeared on the map. Hidden bases, secret shipyards, intelligence outposts that the galaxy didn't know existed. The Keth chose war when they killed our children. Now they get to see what humans are really capable of. On Mars, the red planet's largest canyon had been converted into a massive shipyard. For decades, it had been disguised as a mining operation. Robots supposedly mining for minerals were actually building warships. Lieutenant Colonel Kim Min-ji watched as the first squadron of fighters emerged from the canyon. These were not the small patrol ships the galaxy had seen before. These were heavy attack fighters designed to destroy alien battleships. How many fighters are ready for deployment? She asked her aide. 50,000 from Mars base alone, Colonel. Another 100,000 from the asteroid belt facilities. Kim Min-ji smiled grimly. The galaxy thought human fighters were weak because they were small. They were about to learn that human fighters were small because they were fast, and what they lacked in size they made up for in numbers and tactics. Captain Nam Sunwoo was aboard, the battleship Minho's Vengeance, named after the murdered child. The ship was special, equipped with experimental weapons that had never been tested in real combat. Captain, we're receiving deployment orders, his communications officer reported. Where are we going? Keth Military Command Base at Proxima Thorn. We're part of the advance force. Captain Nam looked at the tactical display. The Keith base was heavily defended, surrounded by minefields and patrol ships. Under normal circumstances, attacking it would be suicide. But these were not normal circumstances. Helm, set course for Proxima Thorn. Maximum speed. Sir, that will take us through 3 Keth patrol zones. I know. Send a message to the patrol zones as we pass through them. What message, sir? Captain Nam's eyes were hard as steel. Tell them a human child is dead. Tell them we're coming to collect the debt. All across Earth's solar system, the awakening continued. Asteroid mining facilities revealed themselves to be weapons factories. Research stations became command centers. Tourist ships transformed into troop transports. Humanity had spent 50 years building the most powerful military force in galactic history, and they had done it so carefully, so secretly, that no one suspected anything. Admiral Song Yejin was in command of the first wave. 100,000 ships under her command, ready to strike at the heart of Keth territory. But this was not going to be a simple revenge mission. Officers, she addressed her fleet commanders, our mission is not just to punish the Keth for what they did. Our mission is to send a message to every species in the galaxy. The message is simple. Human children are not acceptable casualties. The fleet commanders listened carefully. These were experienced officers who had trained for decades for this moment. We will not stop with military targets. We will not accept partial victory. We will continue until the Keth Dominion no longer exists as a threat to any human child, anywhere in the galaxy. Admiral, one commander asked, what if other species try to intervene? Admiral Song's smile was cold. Then they'll learn the same lesson. On Earth, families watched the news with growing excitement. The government had announced that the Keth attack would not go unpunished, but they had not revealed the true scale of humanity's response. 8-year-old Lee Yuna was the same age as Park Min-ho. She watched the news with her parents and asked, "Why did the aliens hurt that boy?" Her father, Colonel Lee Jinwoo, was getting ready to deploy with the second wave. "Because they thought we were weak, sweetheart. They thought we couldn't fight back." "But we can fight back?" Colonel Lee hugged his daughter. "Yes, we can, and we will. No one hurts human children and gets away with it." In schools across Earth, children were learning about the boy who had died in space. Park Min-ho became a symbol. His drawing of the yellow star was shown on every news program. His dream of exploring space had been cut short by alien cruelty. But his death would not be meaningless. It would be the moment that changed everything. Ambassador Oh Seok-jin was preparing to address the Galactic Council. For years, he had been Earth's representative to the galaxy's governing body. He had always been polite, diplomatic, careful not to offend anyone. Today would be different. "Ambassador," his aide asked, "what should I tell the Council about humanity's response to the Keth attack?" Ambassador Oh reviewed his notes. The speech he was about to give would shock every species in the galaxy. "Tell them the truth," he said quietly. "Tell them they have no idea who they're dealing with." The first wave of the human fleet was almost ready to depart. 100,000 battleships, each one more advanced than. The Keth military command on Proxima Thorn was the strongest fortress in their empire. Admiral Thex Vorthak had commanded the base for 20 years. In all that time, no enemy had ever gotten close to the planet's defenses. "Sir," his aide approached, nervously, "we're receiving strange reports from our outer patrol zones." Admiral Vorthak did not look up from his tactical display. He was planning the final conquest of human space. After the demonstration at Harmony's Edge, he expected Earth to surrender quickly. "What kind of reports?" "Ships, sir, lots of ships, moving toward our territory." "How many ships?" Vorthak finally looked up. "The reports don't make sense, sir. Some patrols are saying hundreds, others are saying thousands." Admiral Vorthak laughed. "Impossible. The humans have maybe 50 ships, total. Our intelligence is very clear on this." "Yes, sir, but nothing. Probably just merchant ships trying to evacuate. Send a few patrol squadrons to round them up." The aide hesitated. "Sir, Patrol Group 7 sent a message before they went silent." "What message?" "They said the humans told them to remember Park Min-ho." Admiral Vorthak frowned. "Who is Park Min-ho?" "The human child who died at Harmony's Edge, sir." For the first time, Admiral Vorthak felt a small worry. "Get me a direct communication with Admiral Thorn. I want to know what's really happening." But Admiral Thorn was already dead. The first human attack had come at dawn on the Keth homeworld. Captain Nam Sunwoo's ship, the Minho's Vengeance, led a squadron of 50 battleships against the orbital defense stations. "Target the command station first," Captain Nam ordered. "I want them to know we're here." The Minho's Vengeance fired its main weapons. But these were not the simple energy beams the Keth expected. These were quantum disruptors, weapons that could tear apart the very atoms of their targets. The Keth command station simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next moment it was dust floating in space. "All stations, this is Captain Nam." He broadcast on all Keth frequencies. "We are here because you killed Park Min-ho. He was 8 years old. He liked to draw pictures of stars. You murdered him." The Keth defense fleet rushed to meet the human attack. 50 human ships against 500 Keth warships. The Keth expected an easy victory. They were wrong. The human ships moved differently than anything the Keth had seen before. They were faster, more agile, and their weapons were devastatingly effective. The quantum disruptors could destroy multiple Keth ships with each shot, but the real shock came when the human ships started talking. "This is Lieutenant Park Jin-woo aboard the Soul's Hammer. My nephew was on that station when you killed him. This is Commander Kim Tae-hyun aboard the Earth's Fury. That little boy wanted to be an explorer just like his father." This is Captain Lee Sung-min aboard the Vengeance Rising. You killed children who trusted you. Every human ship broadcast personal messages about Park Min-ho and the other victims. The Keth had expected military communications. Instead, they heard the voices of people who were fighting for something more important than territory or resources. They were fighting for family. Within 2 hours, the Keth defense fleet was destroyed. The human ships had taken minimal damage. Admiral Thorne's flagship was the last to fall. As his ship died around him, he finally understood what his intelligence reports had missed. Humans were not just another species seeking trade agreements. They were apex predators who had been pretending to be harmless. General Lim Ji-hoon coordinated the assault from Earth's hidden command center. In front of him, holographic displays showed the progress of human forces across Keth space. "Status report," he ordered. "First wave has secured 17 star systems," reported his aide. "Keth military resistance is collapsing faster than projected." "Casualties?" "Minimal. On our side, sir. The Keth are not prepared for our weapons or tactics." General Lim nodded grimly. 50 years of preparation were paying off. But this was not a celebration. This was a funeral march for a murdered child. "Deploy the second wave. Target their shipyards and military academies." "Sir, the second wave consists of 200,000 ships. I know exactly how many ships it is," General Lim replied coldly. "Send them all." Admiral Song Ye-jin commanded the second wave from her flagship, the Righteous Anger. Her fleet was massive beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. 200,000 human battleships moving in perfect formation toward the core of Keth space. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender offers from multiple Keth planets," her communications officer reported. "What are they offering?" "Full surrender of military forces, reparations for damages, immediate withdrawal from all disputed territories." Admiral Song considered this. Under normal circumstances, such offers would be the basis for peace negotiations. "Decline all offers," she ordered. "Ma'am, you heard me. Decline them all. We're not here to accept surrender. We're here to make sure this never happens again." The second wave struck at the industrial heart of the Keth Empire. Human forces simultaneously attacked 200 star systems, overwhelming Keth defenses through sheer numbers and superior technology. Captain Quan Mina led the assault on the Keth Naval Academy at Theron Prime. This was where young Keth officers learned how to command warships. It was defended by the elite training fleet. "Captain, the Academy is requesting parley," her tactical officer reported. "What do they want to discuss?" "They're offering to evacuate all personnel if we spare the facility." Captain Mina looked at the tactical display. The Academy was beautiful, a work of architectural art floating in space. It had trained Keth officers for 1,000 years. "Negative. Destroy everything." "Captain, there are students in there. Young people just learning to be soldiers." Captain Mina's voice was ice cold. Park Min-ho was young too. He was learning to be an explorer. Did that save him? The Keth Naval Academy was reduced to debris. Every ship, every facility, every proud monument to Keth military tradition was destroyed. The message was clear. If you kill human children, humans will kill your future. But the humans were just getting started. Dr. Yoon Taeyang's research proved invaluable. His psychological studies told human commanders exactly how to break Keth. Morale. The Keth were a proud species who believed in honor and military tradition. Humans targeted both. "Broadcast this message on all Keth frequencies," Admiral Song ordered. The message was simple but devastating. "Your leaders killed an innocent child. Your military is weak. Your empire is ending. This is what happens when you murder the young." The cybermayor psychological warfare was as effective as the physical attacks. Keth planets began surrendering without a fight. Keth officers abandoned their posts. The proud empire that had ruled for 1,000,000 years was falling apart in weeks. But other species were starting to notice. The Zephyrian Council held an emergency session. These ancient beings had seen many wars, but nothing like the human assault on the Keth Empire. "The humans have deployed over 300,000 warships," reported military advisor Zeph Korthine. "Our intelligence suggests they have many, more in reserve. This is impossible, declared Council Leader Zeph Valdris. No single species has ever fielded such a massive fleet. Yet they have done so, and they show no signs of stopping. The council members were afraid, though they would never admit it. The humans had seemed so peaceful, so eager to make friends. Now they were demonstrating military power that dwarfed every other species combined. What do they want? Asked one council member. Revenge, Advisor Corthane replied simply. They want to destroy the Keth Empire completely. And after that, we don't know. The humans have made no demands, issued no ultimatums to other species. They seem focused entirely on the Keth. For now, Leader Valdris said quietly. But what happens when they finish with the Keth? The Mandate of Tal was having similar discussions. These mechanical beings had always believed logic would prevent major wars. Species would fight until the cost became too high, then negotiate peace. The humans were not following that logic. They have the capability to defeat the Keth completely, reported War Computer Tal 9. Yet they refuse all surrender offers. This is not economically rational. Explain, ordered Prime Directive Tal Alpha. War should end when victory is achieved and goals are met. The humans achieved military victory in the first week. They have met their stated goal of punishing the Keth, yet they continue fighting. Perhaps their goals are different than we calculated. War Computer Tal 9 processed this. If their goal is complete elimination of the Keth Empire, then their actions are logical. But such a goal suggests they are not interested in conquest or territory. What are they interested in? Based on their communications and tactics, they appear to be interested in one thing, making sure no one ever kills human children again. Prime Directive Tal Alpha found this troubling. An enemy motivated by economics or territory could be negotiated with. An enemy motivated by the protection of their young was far more dangerous. Meanwhile, the human advance continued. The third wave launched with 300,000 ships. This force was larger than the entire military of most galactic powers. Captain Han Yushin commanded a battle group in the third wave. His target was the Keth Research Facility at Nova Septimus, where biological weapons were developed. Captain, we're detecting unusual readings from the facility, his science officer reported. What kind of readings? They appear to be destroying their research data. And sir, Emperor Valdris of the Keth Dominion stood in his throne room, watching the human fleet approach his homeworld. 400,000 warships filled the space around his planet like angry stars. In 1,000 years of rule, no enemy had ever come so close to the imperial capital. Your Majesty, his military advisor approached carefully. The human commander is requesting your presence aboard their flagship. Which flagship? The Emperor asked. With so many human ships, it was hard to tell which one was in command. The ship called Park Minho's Promise, Your Majesty. The humans say their admiral wishes to meet with you personally. Emperor Valdris had learned the name Park Minho over the past weeks. The human child whose death had brought this disaster upon his empire. He had tried to find out more about the boy, hoping to understand why his death had triggered such a massive response. Park Minho had been 8 years old. He liked to draw pictures. He wanted to be an explorer. He had been excited to meet aliens and make friends with them. Prepare my shuttle, the Emperor ordered. I will meet with them. Admiral Park Jinwoo stood on the bridge of his flagship, waiting for the Keth Emperor to arrive. He was the older brother of Park Hyunwoo, the diplomat who had died with his son at Harmony's Edge. This war was personal for him in ways that went beyond military duty. Admiral, the Emperor's shuttle is approaching, his communications officer reported. Good. Have him brought directly to Conference Room 7. Sir, shouldn't we use the main conference room? It would be more appropriate for meeting an emperor. Admiral Park's eyes were cold. Conference Room 7 is where we show pictures to prisoners before we decide their fate. That's exactly what's appropriate. Emperor Valdris was escorted through, the human ship under heavy guard. He had expected the humans to be primitive given their recent arrival in galactic politics. Instead, he found himself in a vessel more advanced than anything in his own fleet. Conference Room 7 was small and stark. Admiral Park sat at a simple table with a datapad in front of him. On the wall behind him was a large display showing a child's drawing of a yellow star. Emperor Valdris, Admiral Park said without standing. Do you know what that picture is? The Emperor looked at the drawing. I assume it was made by the child who died? His name was Park Minho. He was my nephew. He drew that picture the day before your forces murdered him. Emperor Valdris felt the weight of those words. He had killed many beings in his long life, but they had always been soldiers or threats to his empire. This was different. Admiral, I want you to know that the attack on the station was not intended to kill civilians. But you did kill them, Admiral Park replied quietly. You killed 200 humans, including children, because you suspected we might be a threat. You didn't investigate. You didn't ask questions. You just decided we were dangerous and acted accordingly. The Emperor nodded slowly. Yes, that is what happened. Do you know what's happening to your empire right now, Emperor? I know you have conquered most of our territory. Admiral Park touched his datapad, and the wall display changed to show a map of Keth space. Red areas showed human-controlled systems. There were very few blue areas left. We have destroyed your military, captured your shipyards, and occupied your most important worlds. Your empire is finished. But that's not the important part. What is the important part? The important part is that every species in the galaxy is watching. They're learning what happens when someone kills human children. Emperor Valdris studied the human admiral. What do you want from me? I want you to understand something, Emperor. This war isn't about territory or resources. It's about a principle. Human children are not acceptable casualties in anyone's political calculations. I understand that now. Do you? Let me make sure. Admiral Park touched his datapad again, and the display showed images of destroyed Keth military bases. We have eliminated your ability to threaten anyone ever again, but we're not stopping there. The display changed to show human ships throughout Keth space. We're going to occupy your territory permanently. We're going to make sure your species never again has the power to casually murder children from other worlds. You're taking our empire. No, Emperor, we're taking your ability to hurt people. There's a difference. Emperor Valdris was quiet for a long moment. What happens to my people? That depends on your people. Those who accept the new order will be treated fairly. Those who resist will be dealt with accordingly. And me? Admiral Park leaned forward. You, Emperor, are going to help us send a message to the galaxy. Meanwhile, in another part of the galaxy, the Zephyrian Council was in emergency session. The human conquest of the Keth Empire was almost complete, and other species were starting to worry about their own safety. We must intervene, declared Council member Zeph Morthane. If we allow the humans to completely destroy the Keth, we may be next. With what forces? Asked military advisor Zeph Corthane. The humans have deployed over 500,000 warships. Our entire fleet numbers less than 50,000. Then we ally with others. The Mandate of Tal has a powerful fleet. The Rigelian Confederacy has advanced weapons. Council leader Zeph Valdris shook his head. You're missing the point. This isn't about military strength. This is about motivation. The humans aren't conquering for resources or territory. They're fighting to protect their young. That makes them more dangerous, not less, Advisor Corthane pointed out. An enemy who fights for survival or family will not negotiate or retreat. The council fell silent. They had assumed the humans would be satisfied with defeating the Keth military and extracting concessions. Instead, the humans seemed determined to eliminate the Keth Empire entirely. What are our intelligence reports telling us about human capabilities? Leader Valdris asked. Disturbing things, Advisor Corthane replied. Our agents have detected massive hidden facilities throughout human space. Shipyards, weapons factories, training bases that don't appear on any official records. How massive? Based on the fleet sizes we're seeing, the humans may have been preparing for galactic war for decades. This was the most frightening revelation of all. The humans had not simply responded to the Keth attack with available forces. They had been building toward this capability for years, possibly since their first contact with alien species. They've been planning this, Leader Valdris realized. Not this specific war, but the capability to fight any war they might face. It appears so, and if our estimates are correct, they're still not using their full strength. The Zephyrian Council faced a terrible choice: intervene against the humans and risk becoming their next target, or watch the balance of galactic power shift permanently. On Earth, Director Bai Hijin was reviewing intelligence reports from across the galaxy. Her network of human agents had spent decades infiltrating alien governments, military organizations, and research facilities. Status report on potential interventions, she requested. The Zephyrian Council is debating military action. Her aide reported. The mandate of Tal is conducting readiness assessments. The Rigelian Confederacy is mobilizing their fleet. Expected timeline for intervention? 2 to 3 weeks, assuming they can agree on a coordinated response. Director Bai smiled coldly. That gives us time to finish with the Keth and prepare for the next phase. Ma'am, what is the next phase? Teaching the galaxy that there are consequences for even thinking about hurting human children. She activated her communication system and sent a coded message to human agents throughout the galaxy. The message was simple. Activation phase. 2. Prepare for expanded operations. In the Keith capital system, the final battle was beginning. The Keith had gathered their remaining forces for one last stand around their homeworld. 200,000 Keth ships faced 400,000 human vessels. Captain Quan Mina commanded the human left flank from her battleship, Soul's Vengeance. She had fought in every major battle of the war, and she knew this would be the last. Captain, the Keth are broadcasting on all frequencies, her communications officer reported. What are they saying? It's a message from their emperor. He's asking for mercy for his people. Captain Mina considered this. The Keth were brave to fight to the end, but bravery wouldn't save them from the consequences of their actions. Send. Reply, she ordered. Tell them we will show their civilians the same mercy they showed ours. The final battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the Keth Dominion had no military left. Their proud fleet, which had ruled the galaxy for a millennium, was nothing but debris floating in space. But the humans were not finished. Admiral Song Yejin transmitted a message to every inhabited world in former Keth space. Citizens of the former Keth Dominion, your government murdered innocent human children. Your military has been eliminated. Your leaders will face justice. Those who accept the new order will be treated fairly. Those who resist will be dealt with harshly. Your worlds are now under human protection. This means no one will ever again use your territory to launch attacks against human colonies or civilians. To the rest of the galaxy, this is what happens when you kill human children. Remember this lesson. The message was broadcast throughout the galaxy, translated into hundreds of languages. Every species received the same warning. Emperor Valdris was brought to Earth for his trial. The proceedings were broadcast live through. 1 year after the fall of the Keth Dominion, the galaxy had settled into an uneasy new reality. The massive human fleet that had destroyed an ancient empire in mere weeks now patrolled former Keth space, ensuring that the peace was kept. Commander, Yang Jisu stood on the bridge of her patrol ship, watching the construction of the new memorial station. It was being built in the exact location where Harmony's Edge had once floated, where Park Minho had died drawing pictures of stars. The memorial was beautiful. Made from materials gathered from across human space, it honored all 200 humans who had died in the Keth attack. But at its center was a special room dedicated to the children who had been killed. Commander, her aide approached. The dedication ceremony is beginning. How many species sent representatives? Over 300, ma'am, including several that we've never had diplomatic contact with before. Commander Yang nodded. The galaxy was paying attention to humanity now in ways they never had before. The memorial wasn't just about remembering the dead. It was about making sure everyone understood why the war had happened. On the memorial station, President Kim Do-young spoke to the gathered representatives. Humans made up only a small portion of the audience. Most were aliens who had come to see what humanity built in place of revenge. We gather here today not to celebrate war, but to remember why peace is precious. President Kim began. 1 year ago, Park Min-ho was an 8-year-old boy who loved to draw pictures of stars. He dreamed of exploring the galaxy and meeting new friends among the species we shared space with. The president gestured to a display showing the child's drawings, including the yellow star he had pointed out to his father. His death, and the death of all our people here, happened because one species decided that human lives were acceptable casualties in their political calculations. They were wrong. Today we dedicate this memorial not just to our dead, but to a principle: that innocent life is sacred, regardless of what species it belongs to. In the audience, Ambassador Vex Thalan of the Zephyrian Council listened carefully. His species had spent the past year trying to understand humanity's response to the Keth attack. The mathematics were simple. 200 human deaths had resulted in the complete destruction of an empire that controlled 40,000 star systems. The ratio was terrifying in its implications. After the ceremony, Ambassador Thalan met privately with Secretary General Lee Dongyun, who now represented Earth in all galactic affairs. Secretary General, the ambassador began carefully, my government wishes to understand humanity's long-term intentions regarding galactic governance. What do you mean? Lee asked. Your species now controls the territory of the former Keth Dominion. Your fleets patrol regions that once belonged to other governments. Some species are concerned about human expansionism. Secretary General Lee looked out the observation window at the human fleet surrounding the memorial station. 50,000 warships maintained a permanent presence here, a constant reminder of what happened to those who hurt human children. Ambassador, let me be very clear about something. Humanity has no interest in ruling the galaxy. We didn't want the Keth territory. We took it to ensure they could never again threaten anyone. But you do control it now. We protect it now. There's a difference. Ambassador, Thalan was not entirely convinced. And when your protection is no longer needed? When we're satisfied that no species in this region will ever again casually murder children from other worlds, we'll consider transferring governance to local authorities. How long might that take? Secretary General Lee's smile was not entirely friendly. That depends entirely on how quickly the galaxy learns the lesson we've been teaching. The lesson was being learned, slowly and with great reluctance. On the planet Zephyr Prime, Council Leader Zeph Valdris reviewed intelligence reports about human military capabilities. The numbers were staggering. Are we certain these estimates are accurate? He asked his military advisor. We've confirmed the existence of at least 700,000 human warships, Advisor Korthine replied. But our intelligence suggests this may not represent their full capability. What do you mean? The humans have been building military infrastructure for decades, possibly since their first contact with galactic civilization. Based on their industrial capacity and resource allocation, they may be capable of fielding over 1 million ships. Council Leader Valdris felt a chill. 1 million warships would make humanity more powerful than the rest of the galaxy combined. Why would they build such overwhelming force? He wondered. Based on their actions and communications, they appear to have one primary goal: ensuring the safety of their civilians, particularly their children. That's all? It seems to be their only real concern regarding other species. They trade freely, engage in cultural exchange, share scientific knowledge. But any threat to their civilians triggers an overwhelming military response. The council leader understood the implications. Humanity was not interested in conquest or domination. They were interested in one thing: making sure no one ever hurt their people again. What do our psychological analysts say about this? They believe human protective instincts are stronger than in most species. Humans will sacrifice almost anything to protect their young, including going to war with the entire galaxy, if necessary, yes. This was the reality that every species now had to accept. Humanity possessed overwhelming military force, but they only used it for one purpose: protecting their own. On the mechanical world of Tal 7, the governing computers, of the mandate of TAL processed this same information and reached similar conclusions. Analysis complete, reported War Computer TAL 9. Human military doctrine is purely defensive in nature. They show no interest in territorial expansion or resource acquisition through force. Explain the destruction of the Keth Dominion, ordered Prime Directive TAL Alpha. The Keth attack on human civilians was interpreted as an existential threat to human children. The response was designed to eliminate that threat permanently. By destroying an entire empire? Correct. Humans appear to believe that half measures in protecting their young lead to future threats. They prefer permanent solutions. The computers found this logic sound, if extreme. Probability of human aggression against other species? Low, unless those species threaten human civilians. Probability of human response to threats against their civilians? 100%, with escalation proportional to the perceived threat. Prime Directive TAL Alpha processed this information. The mandate of TAL had been considering military action against humanity, based on their rapid expansion of power. Now it seemed clear that such action would be catastrophically unwise. Issue new directive to all TAL units. Human civilians are not to be harmed under any circumstances. Any action that could be interpreted as threatening to human children is forbidden. Acknowledged. The mechanical beings had reached the same conclusion as every other intelligent species in the galaxy. Humanity was too dangerous to provoke, but perfectly safe to coexist with as long as you didn't hurt their people. Back on Earth, Fleet Admiral Choi Minji was reviewing the deployment of human forces throughout the galaxy. The war against the Keth had revealed humanity's true strength, but it had also created new responsibilities. Status of the occupation fleets? She asked her aide. All former Keth territories are secure. Local populations are cooperating with human administration. No significant resistance movements have emerged. Good. What about intelligence reports on potential threats? Several species have abandoned planned military actions against humanity. The Rigelian Confederacy canceled their fleet mobilization. The Altarian Republic has requested formal non-aggression treaties. Admiral Choi nodded. The show of force had worked. Most species now understood that challenging humanity was not worth the risk. Any concerning developments? The Nixari Collective is still building their fleet. Intelligence suggests they may be planning some kind of action. What kind of action? Unknown, Admiral, but they've been recruiting military advisors from species that fought the Keth in previous conflicts. Admiral Choi frowned. The Nixari were a proud warrior culture that might not be willing to accept humanity's new position in the galactic hierarchy, double the patrol strength in sectors adjacent to Nixari space, and send a diplomatic message. What should the message say? Remind them what happened to the last species that threatened human children. The message was clear, and it worked. Within a week, the Nixari Collective sent their own diplomatic envoy to Earth, requesting formal peace negotiations. Dr. Yoon Tae-yang, now Director of Xenological Relations, met with the Nixari envoy in Earth's diplomatic complex. Director, the Nixari warrior diplomat began. My people wish to understand humanity's position regarding territorial boundaries and resource rights. What specifically do you want to know? Dr. Yoon asked. Will humanity respect existing territorial claims? Do you intend to expand beyond former Keth space? Dr. Yoon activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Human-controlled territory was marked in blue, while other species' territory was shown in different colors. As you can see, humanity currently controls former Keth space and our original colonies. We have no territorial ambitions beyond ensuring the security of human civilians. But your fleet capabilities,